Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes to renting versus selling and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something that helps you save a little money, make a little money, has something to do with real estate or how to help you maneuver the crazy world that we live in today. Today we have a bunch of people here getting ready to talk about real estate. So we're going to talk about what's going on in the real estate market. Like, what should people expect? I mean, are interest rates going to go up? Are they going to go down? Like, people are asking the question, and I have my magic wand and my my crystal ball where I can check the future and kind of let you guys know what's going to happen. And let's see if I'm right.
Well, they always say, like, in an election year, do the interest rates traditionally go down? Is that like the pattern?
So that is true. That is typically true. Obviously, the politicians want us to think that they're, doing something for us, right? Other than robbing. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not a political person at all. That is very true. They're actually anticipating in the second quarter, like in the second half, actually, I should say, in the third quarter, really, that we're going to start to see interest rates, coming down. So with that being said, my fear is that we're going to go back into a spiral of 2021, if anyone recalls what happened. If you really weren't in the market, if you didn't work in it, if you didn't have anybody looking to buy, if you weren't somebody buying or selling, which I believe, Dawn, you were somebody that was buying and selling,
we
right?
bought and sold in 21.
Yeah, so that was scary, and I still suffer from PTSD, a little post-traumatic stress disorder as a realtor. I had an interviewing process for a buyer, which would be something like this. You want to buy a home? Yes. Are you willing to pay $50,000 more than it's worth? No. Okay, well, I think this isn't the time for you. Now, it's funny. Somehow, I was looking for an email yesterday, and it was for somebody that I sold them their house in 2021. They now decided they want to move back to Georgia. So I found their portal where they were saving houses, and so crazy, the houses were in there still, hearted, in this email that I had. And so I started clicking on the houses, and you could see if they sold over, if they sold under, if they sold at. And there was there was probably like 10 or 12 homes in this portal with hearts on them. And only like 2 of them sold under the list price.
Oh, sold over list price.
2 under.
Only
Everything was
else
over or at.
So you see that being the trend again? Things are going to heat up?
If interest rates hit anywhere in the 5s, I think that we're definitely going to see that. And the crazier thing is that, one of the things is when you're hiring, anybody, it's having information, it's having knowledge, right? So here's one of the tips today that I think is going to be a big deal for people that are in that $1 to $2 million range that a lot of people don't know. So I was actually with somebody the other day, and we were sitting down at a $2 million listing that I have. And they had a perception that you had to put 20% down. No, there's actually a jumbo loan, $2 million or less, at 6.875% with no mortgage insurance.
Really?
Wow.
So what do you have to put down for that?
10%.
10% down, no mortgage insurance.
Up to $2 million.
Up to $2 million, no PMI. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of misconceptions that, if you're buying a house, like even a $200,000 house, people think all the time, they're like, oh, I have to put down 20%. That's not true. Huh. Today, this was the biggest catch of all today that I think that is really important. I've been doing this for about 24 years as a realtor, but I've been doing this about 27, 28, maybe 29 now. I don't know. I just forgot I had a birthday. So I've been doing this for a really long time. And one of the things that's very frustrating is uneducated people, uneducated professionals that they really haven't been doing this that long, and they're given misinformation. and even some of my clients have misinformation. And I think that if you're going to hire me, you need to trust me and know that whatever I do is in the best interest for you. So today I'm on the phone with a realtor that I knew his name from being in a certain area in Oakland Park. And I was looking and he had switched to another company. And I was like, why did you go there? I said, you owned this particular area in Oakland Park, right? And I said, the other guy that was your partner, it seemed like he took it over. He goes, yep, he started getting all the listings. We broke apart. And I realized I had to do something differently. And I said, okay. So he'd given me an offer today on a house, and they were only putting down, and when I say only, I don't mean that in a negative connotation, only putting 5% down on a $600,000+ home. And he says the guy's been having a trouble getting anything under contract because the agents don't want to take the 5% down. I said, I don't care, give me 5%, give me 3%, give me give me VA,
FHA.
nothing down.
Yeah.
0%. I said, you have to be educated to understand that these deals are still going to go through. And especially like the typical, and you've had your mortgage license, Freddie, and you're a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. Can't you tell? And
Make it happen.
And New Yorkers, typically, they look at other people like when they're like, oh, I'm not going to take my house off for 3.5% down. I want 10% in escrow. Well, if you're doing FHA, they don't have 10%, so they're not going to put 10% down. So they say, oh, I'm going to buy, I'm not going to take my house off for 3.5%. I looked at my father, the New Yorker, right, and I said, Daddy, if people didn't buy with 3.5% down, I'd be broke. Because who do you think buys these houses? Everybody has to live somewhere. Everybody. And so the fact of the matter is if you can't pay your rent and you can't pay your house payment, what's the difference? You still got to live somewhere.
It's true. My son, he's in Miami. He's looking again. Do I move? Do I rent? We need an extra bedroom because maybe having a baby, they need an extra bathroom. He's looking at upwards of $3,000 a month in rent. He says, for that, I could buy something. But then it's, how much can I put down? What can I afford? I'm in Miami. And I was thinking to you, I said, well, let me know where you're at. And, I'll refer him to you at that point. But it's true. If you can make $3,000 a month on rent, or you can buy something that you can grow into and maybe put 3% down, or you've got your first-time home buyers programs. Max
and there's
has
all
great
different,
programs.
but there's different, that's the thing. Like, and listen, we love Max and we want to give Max all of our business if we can, right? We do. But if Max doesn't have, we can't put everybody in a box.
I was gonna
And
say
that's
that.
where you have to appreciate the professionals that you work with. And even I think Max would do the same thing, that he would say, listen, I can't help you, but this person can, right? So there might be something that if you just don't have enough money, but you need a place to live, you've got to do what's best for you. So
I heard a crazy story the other day. Someone was in and said, and she lives in a neighborhood I used to live in. I know the value of the homes.
Right.
A realtor came in and lowballed her on the value. And they said, we know our house is worth another $900,000 on top of what he's offering. And he came in, he lowered it, and he said, you're not going to get anybody else to give you the price that you want. So, and then they started convincing her that she couldn't get what she wanted, but I know she's going to get what she wants because I know the value of the neighborhood. Then she said, what if I move? What are my taxes going to be like? People don't even understand the portability
So let me tell you,
concept.
so today I was showing a house to a client today, right? So they have a neighbor that has been very vicious to them. And, I said, I guess the kids are playing on the yard. And so I said, why don't you put a fence on it? And she goes, well, I would do that, but, still the guy got in my face and I feel very uncomfortable. And she's lived in the house since it was built, 20-something years, right? 1997, she's been in the house. So it's kind of funny how you're talking about people not knowing about portability. So this morning we went and looked at a house. And I said, to the husband and the wife, and the husband says, well, I don't care about that right now. And the wife says, but I do. And so I pulled up my phone and I put their address into the portability estimator calculator. And I said, okay, this is your house and you're going to buy this house for $575. I said, a person that's never owned a home, their taxes were going to be $10,000 and change. Their taxes were going to be $5,500.
How does that work? How is that?
So when you've lived for a certain amount of time, and it can be anywhere in the state of Florida. Now, Broward County makes it very easy to calculate this. Other counties, typically what I do is I send an email to their office and I say, this is the address that I own. Let's say it's in Delray, right?
Okay.
This is the address that I own, and it has to be your homestead. And
Yep.
this is the price that I'm looking to purchase at. What are my new taxes going to look like? And they can tell you. So the longer you've lived in your house, right, the better it is for you.
Sure.
One of the misconceptions, and please go back to my YouTube and check out when I interviewed Marty Kerr, who is the property appraiser of Broward County. A lot of people do not understand that portability is good for 3 years. But 3 years from when?
Day of closing?
Nope. It's 3 years from the January within which you sell. So
gotcha.
let's say in 2024, I sell my house in December. It's from January of 2024 that the portability will happen, and you have 2 years following that.
And then
And
what happens?
it's 3 years or 2 years?
It's 3
3
years,
years.
from the January
Forward. Okay.
of which the year you sold.
Got it.
So if I sell in 2024, I have whatever's left of
Yeah.
2024,
Plus 2 more years
2025,
in 2020.
2026. So by the end of 2026, if I have not closed on a house, then you've lost your portability. Now, I
What
had
happens if you've closed on the house, you move like I did? Do I stay with that portability role, or does it?
that keeps following you. So you have to, when you apply, so here's the thing, like you bought in 2021, right? If you didn't apply for that in 2020,
We did.
okay, good, because they're going to ask the question, are you moving from another home that had homestead?
So now that price, that, well, the
You would've gotten a
tax roll stays.
saving.
We actually paid less in this new house than we paid in the old house.
Because you might have bought a house that cost less, right? You might have downsized. So, for instance, like, so, yeah, because there's misconceptions. Like the lady that was there, who is a realtor, by the way, selling her own house, tells my clients, oh yeah, you take your taxes with you. No, you don't take your taxes with you. You get, it's like a percentage of, and again, I'm not, one thing, I'm not in the calculation of it. That's why I know some people that know how to figure it out in their head. I'm not going to do that because I want it on paper.
Yeah.
I want to be able to show you. I don't want to give misinformation if it comes from somebody else. It's just like when you're buying a property and you say, "Oh, the association said yes, you can park trucks in the parking lot."
Yeah.
Like I want to
it
see
in
that in
writing.
writing.
I want that
I
in
want that
writing.
in writing, right? So those are the things that I'm very like cognizant of, that I want to be careful what I'm telling other people. So giving misinformation on portability. And a lot of mortgage people, when people are going to buy and they're trying to either upgrade or downsize, and the mortgage person's telling them their payment, I'm like, let me see that. And every time I look at it, they're missing that portability. So it either,
Wow.
and a lot of times, think about it, I could lose a client because they think their payment's going to be $300 more because they're going off of the people's current taxes.
They just don't know.
They know though, but for some reason they don't think about it. Does that make sense? They don't go that extra step. I'm very detail oriented. Unfortunately, I'm very type A, very like, you know.
But that's why you're so busy.
That's why,
And these
yeah.
are the questions and the hard thing, even when you're qualifying. Remember when we were buying the house, it was the homeowner's insurance and the value to what our earnings were to the homeowners and whatever loan to value.
Yeah.
That we'd make nice income, but even that was like, if your homeowner's insurance was that much more and we didn't have the hurricane coverage at the time,
Right.
we were going to be not eligible to get the house, which
Yeah,
is
we'll
so
talk more
crazy.
about debt to income ratio because
We had a
that's
broken
really
window.
interesting.
And I want to talk about
Yeah.
the interest rate.
wanna take a commercial break?
Yeah, let's
the
go
credit
to
rate- the
commercial
credit
break, and when we
number.
come back, we'll talk about the interest rate, and we'll also talk about, talking about debt to income ratio, because that all matters, and interest rate's going to make a difference for us. So
Exactly.
stay tuned. We're going to watch our commercials, and we'll be right back.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations. Ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FIRPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at thelorasell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. So we're talking about interest rates, we're talking about debt to income ratio. So one of the biggest things, again, when you're hiring a realtor is understanding before taking an offer from somebody whether or not that offer is really going to go through and they're a viable buyer. Just because the paper looks good on paper doesn't mean it's viable. What do I mean by that? So a lot of times we get a lot of these online mortgage companies, right? Mm-hmm. They'll go ahead and send me over a pre-approval letter. Now, if I'm out of Wisconsin, right, and I get I say to them, what are you using for insurance? And they say, oh, I'm using $250 a month. I start laughing. Like, what's $250 a month, right? There's no insurance for $250. You're looking more around $550, and going up by another $250 to $300 a month can really whack your debt to income ratio. Now, interest rates. Getting an interest rate of 7 versus 5.5, like that's 1.5 points, and that's pretty significant on your payment. So that's something to take in consideration, right? And then lastly is if you have portability. Now, when the mortgage lenders do your figuring out what you qualify for, they're going to use the taxes that the sellers have today. They're not going to use the taxes that they have tomorrow. What do I mean by that? So if I buy a house for, let's just say, $100,000, typically without homestead, you're probably looking at taxes being about $1,800 without homestead. Now I put in homestead on $100,000, taxes are going to be significantly different. They're going to be a little bit more like maybe $1,000, $1,200, you know, on $100,000. Okay. That's a big difference, right? As you jump up, it gets significantly higher. So they're not going to look at that if you're, you know, and when you get in those higher ranges, let's say 500,000, right? Homestead, you're looking at, you know, 400, you're really being taxed on 450 versus 5. You're talking about $8,600 a year in taxes. Well, divide that by 12, right? But let's say you're buying it from somebody that's owned their home since, like, let's say 1990, and their taxes are only $5,500. Well, you're going to jump. Right. So you're going to have to now take $300-400, and that's going to be added onto your mortgage bill the next year. And so now they're going to have to catch up for 2 years because they're going to get forward and backwards.
I feel like we're always catching up on something, right? The first year always looks great, and then your escrow's a little bit off the next year, and then your homeowner's a little bit off for something else, and then, right, you're playing catch up.
New construction, that is a big one, because the what they're taxing you on is on a little portion of the land, right? So, and usually it was farmland before or whatever, they find these little places, right? So then they're taxing you on like $1,000, and then you buy this $1.8 million house, and then the next year, your whole entire escrow account is out of whack. So be prepared. Now, I tell my clients, listen, this is what your taxes are gonna be. You need to start putting in this money, because they give you lines and it says like any additional principal, escrow, put that money in for your escrow. So,
which is smart.
So you got to get educated before you purchase. You got to get educated while you're being purchased, because the rules change in the game.
Yeah.
And you want to buy right. You just told me that you have plenty of inventory, which was my main concern. Mm-hmm. All these numbers are great, but if there's no inventory, you're not going to buy anything, or the price is going to go through the roof because everybody wants the same house.
Isn't it funny how your perspectives change now? A few months ago, you were like, "There's no inventory, there's no place to go," and now he's like, "There's plenty of inventory." But you've seen the other side.
Yes, and I went through the other side, and I see portability, things that I did not know about. They changed the game, and we decided to rent to wait. Now
Don't
I'm
wait
listening.
more than 2 years, though.
Exactly, it can't. But it was funny because people told me that when I sold, I would never find a place to go. I had 12 places to go.
Right.
And some were better than others, but I waited. I did listen to you. I waited for the right time, did my homework, and I'm going to try to do the same thing on the next purchase, because I thought the market would cool off. Now the market may heat up again. 2021 was crazy.
It was very crazy, and I have to say, I really just didn't enjoy it at all.
But if you
It's
listen
great when
to
you're-
your advice, you give great advice on how to sell the house, what to bring people into the right neighborhood of what they're looking for, because houses on the inside can be cleaned up. They can be redone and remodeled, but you got to look right from the outside in. What neighborhood is it? Where are your kids going to go to school? What's your community look like to you? There's a house in my neighborhood that just sold and had been on the market. I kept seeing open house and open house and open house. It wasn't selling. But then we got a newsletter last week. It sold in 10 days. They changed realtors. And he went through the whole description as to how he sold it. And it's everything you talk about. The neighborhood, the community, what's good for the kids, from the outside in. The inside can be changed. Your landscaping can be changed. But you're looking at your community and the value of but you know your areas. Like, you know your areas. You know your houses, you know your specialty.
But I will say, sometimes changing the realtor isn't always the answer. I have to tell you. Sometimes it's just taking the property off the market and putting it back on again. And it has
we did
nothing to do with the realtor.
We did it for 30 days. I think she's right. It worked. It worked.
Was it a new realtor?
No, we went to a different realtor because we decided to use somebody on the board of where we live. We thought she had a better understanding of what was going on in the community. That community is in complete change right now. And she told us it was coming. So we got out. We took it. I could have held on a little bit longer. I said, no, I'm done. I got the number I wanted. Let's go. But we listened. We took it off.
But we've
we let
taken
it go.
Laura's advice for how many years? A year and a half with us, maybe more. You give great advice and great points about, and you educate the public in the community
That's
on what
the
to ask,
difference,
what to know, so you're not going in a panic.
Because
Right.
she's been through the experience of
Right.
being a realtor for so many years.
Yeah.
You've seen so much. I feel like that is.
Yeah, I always say, like, there's like so many different things that need to happen in real estate, but when you're ready to buy or sell, you only need to do one thing, and that's hire Laura Sanders.
I love
Makes it
it.
easy.
What I love
That's
about
a good one.
what I love about Laura is that she will help you dress your house for success. Do you know?
It's important.
I interviewed about 6 or 7 different realtors, and I asked them this plan. And I heard this realtor, she does this, and that. Would you do that? They turned around and walked out the door.
Really?
They wouldn't do what you do. And I'm telling you, the guys on the truth. I give you the name of the people if you want to talk to them. We don't do nothing like that. You got to do this yourself. And they wanted us to empty the house. I said, where do you want me to put it? I'm taking it with me.
Yeah.
But you will tell people, change this. You got the plan where you put the money, you get it back in the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Nobody. And I asked, and people looked at me like I was crazy.
You know, I only ask for one thing, you know, obviously my money back, but I only ask to say thank you.
Well, it works.
You
And
know?
I'm pretty sure you've done it more than once, and
Yeah.
plenty of people said thank you.
And I have a
because-
client that I hope that they're listening, right? I gave a general idea of what something was going to cost, right? And I was off by $150 or whatever. The guy came out and said it was $150 more, and he kind of got upset. So I said, you know what, I'll give you the $150 back at closing, right? He got so much more money than what he ever thought he would get because he told me I was overpricing his property. You ever hear that one? Like, that's a weird one, right?
Yeah.
And he's getting more money than he ever thought he would get. And would you believe the closing statement came in and he says, oh, Laura owes me $150. Can you make sure that that's credited to me?
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's nuts. That's nuts.
I-
You got to learn the hard way sometimes to go through a deal, or you don't get a deal, and then you see the stress begins to mount. And there's no more stress than waiting till you get the right deal. And it has to be the right
So
deal.
true.
It's got to be the right deal.
So true.
But I always say that I should start doing my job where it's like this, where I say, listen, if I sell your house for this amount, you pay me this. If I get anything over that, we split the difference.
There you go.
Because,
There
you know,
you go.
I think I can make a lot more money by saying anything over that, I get 50% of that.
like
I'll take
that.
it in small bills, by the way.
There you
That's
go.
a good
Easy
idea.
enough.
I like that.
I like that.
Well, like I said, if you're thinking about buying or selling, you really need to give me a call. My name's Laura Sanders. I'm with RE/MAX Direct. I've been with RE/MAX for over 20-something years. So give me a call at 954-650-0827 and check out my website at laurasell.com. And can't wait to see you guys again, well, or listen to you guys again, whatever it is, next week. And make it a great night. And thanks for listening to Making Money with Laura Sanders.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust.